بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. اللهم اغفر لنا ولوالدينا وللسامعين ولجميع المسلمين أجمعين. I ask Allah Azza to make this gathering beneficial and for all those viewing to leave with some sort of benefit. First of all, I pray you all the viewers in good health. تقبل الله منا ومنكم صالح الأعمال. I hope you all enjoyed your Eid and had a pleasant, wonderful time. Now, I just thought this discussion actually was well needed because, of course, without a doubt, the other one that I didn't manage to finish off talking and discussing about the certain things that I touched on, and there has been a lot of questions. There has been a lot of questions raised from certain brothers, so I'd just like to clear off a lot of misconceptions and all the questions, and inshallah we'll begin. So the first thing was, brothers are asking, of course, and they're wondering, is this going to come out? Now, once again, I just wanted to remind everyone that I have no connection in terms of those that work inside the university. I don't control when the list comes out. I can't tell anyone exactly the date it's going to come out. Once I get the news, then I'll just inform everyone else. In terms of me actually having a date and knowing if it's going to be end of August, beginning of August, September, if it's going to be this year, Allah knows best. So I just want to clear that and put it on the table to make sure that everyone knows that I have no control. That's the first thing. The only thing I can tell everyone is, be patient. Be patient and persevere. Be patient and persevere, because, of course, without a doubt, it is something that's, you're kept on edge because you applied, but you don't know what's going to happen. So I do pray that, all those that have applied, inshallah, hopefully their list, their names comes out. That's the first thing. And also, with regards to those that have applied and they got accepted and now they want to go back and they haven't actually been to the university, then the same for them, because, of course, I heard that the university are now telling the students that they have to pay for their tickets, the visas, and it's been everything's in the air, misconceptions and, confusion. But once again, just be patient and be, persevered. Inshallah, things will be clear, all in due time. So that's obviously something that we will have to bear in mind, that because of the situation of COVID, things are just, up in the air. And, of course, without a doubt, those that actually are returning back, then inshallah I'm going to make another video just for you guys and those that have actually never been out there and been accepted, in terms of how to do the visa process. How do you attain the visa from your country? And, of course, this video will be mainly for those that are in the West, mainly in UK specifically, as things are different for those brothers that are in the States or in Netherlands or in France or in Germany or elsewhere. Because, of course, it is a very confusing process and it could be overwhelming as well at the same time, because, of course, especially if one has never been out there on a work visa or any sort of visa, have no one there, it is something that, Jazakallah khair, one of the brothers faced from Allah reward him. We had a phone call, actually, a long convo, and he managed to put it into a PDF with all the information that was passed on. So may Allah reward him. A lot of the brothers have actually used this PDF step-by-step guide to actually get out to the country. Now, first of all, before I answer the questions, Ikhwan, and also that's another thing as well. Another misconception is people have been asking and confused whether they can go out to Saudi Arabia and Medina to the actual university and study out there, other than the faculties of the Islamic side, like engineering, science, being a doctor and what have you. Of course, they do have a new section that they opened a couple of years back. But personally, Ikhwan, my personal advice is that I want to attain these kind of qualifications. Madinah University wasn't established for that. That's my personal opinion, is that you go out there and you try your utmost best to attain some sort of qualifications with regards to, attaining knowledge and being sincere in that field and trying your best to do that. But in terms of other, yes, you can go out there and apply, and I don't have any information in terms of how to actually go about being, a student as an engineer, engineering student, studying engineering or studying medicine, what have you. They don't have medicine, but I know they have engineering, they have sciences, and they have other faculties. I think it's like 3 or 4. So that's obviously something that I wanted to clear. And also, some sisters were asking whether there's an institute inside the university for females. Unfortunately, up until now, there isn't any institute for females to study within Medina. I'm talking about Madinah University, but there is one of the videos that I'm pretty sure a lot of the brothers have seen that I put out explaining in details the 5 or 6 different types of institutes that are all free where sisters can go and study. But of course, without a doubt, one has to actually have attained a sort of residency to be in the country to actually go to these institutes. So, of course, this is just, to clarify for the sisters that are wondering what can they do when they're there, or can they actually go there by themselves. Then it's not like, for example, going to Egypt or somewhere else where you can just go yourself and get a visa and pick up the bags and, go and study and seek knowledge. Where in terms of the one in Medina, you have to actually have some sort of mahram. So someone, of course, that, you can travel with, either your husband or you're living there, you've got some sort of, your guardians, your wali, that are there living in Medina, then of course you can go to these institutes that I've mentioned. But in terms of Medina University Institute for Sisters, then it's not there. May Allah Azza wa Jalla make this gathering a beneficial one. As I mentioned, of course, this is just getting information for that brothers are struggling or wanting to know things. Also, another brother asked me a question regarding age. Is there some sort of age requirement? Like if someone is 16 or 15, can they go out there and just straight away apply? Once again, Ikhwan, I made this, I'm pretty sure I've mentioned this in the previous video, but just to enlighten those that didn't get a chance to listen to the video or see it, then there is no age requirement. It's just about qualifications. So if one, for example, has hit the age where they've attained some sort of high school qualification, so they're 15 or 16, then they can apply to the university. However, there has been many brothers that have actually gone out there and they skipped high school. So they don't actually have a Thanawiyya, which they call Thanawiyya, which is basically in UK would be completed secondary school. So if you haven't actually done so and you've got other qualifications, for example, I know brothers that went to study, they were born and bred in the UK or America or whatever, and they went to study in, for example, Egypt or Africa or whatever, and they came back with them qualifications, and then they wanted to apply for the University of Medina, but they didn't actually graduate from a high school from the West. So of course, the university will still consider you. So you can still apply because you've got some sort of qualifications. And then them same brothers that I know, I met a couple of them there, they were told that after they go and sit for 2 years in the Ma'had, which is the Arabic Institute, they would have to then go and sit another 2 years or 1 year and a half in Thanawiyya, which will be equivalent to secondary school. And you'll get qualifications for that as well. Another video, inshallah, put out there for that. So this is only a requirement. The Thanawiyya is only a requirement. Going to Thanawi is only a requirement for those that actually haven't attained a high school qualification. I hope that's clear. But if one has attained and already has a high school qualification, like for example, higher than that and plus a high school, then the minimum requirement you need is a high school qualification. So you don't actually need a degree or A-levels to actually apply to the University of Medina. All you need is some sort of high school qualification. And even I know some brothers that didn't have a high school qualification and alhamdulillah, they got accepted. So once again, it's just about applying as soon as you hit that age. The minimum age requirement, I would say, it's not actually out there written, but because obviously, like I said, I know brothers that were younger than the age that's written there. So let's just say, just for putting it out there for those that want to kind of have an idea, is 16, at the age of 16. But like I said, I know a brother that's reached out there in a country and he just turned 16 when he was actually there and he was accepted at the age of 15. So my advice to all those that want to apply that are young, wait until you get some sort of high school qualification. If you already have some sort of other qualification by a known institute, if it's not from the UK, then or from the West, then of course you can still apply. And like I said, if you get accepted, alhamdulillah, wa bihi wa ni'mah. If you don't get accepted, then of course you can do it after you've attained your high school qualification. This is something, of course, that I want everyone to be clear of. And all the questions, Ikhwan and everyone else, I will answer, inshallah, at the end of the video. I'll make sure I go through each and every single question posed to me, if you like to have. Now, let me just touch on the points that I want to touch on, because time is of essence. And yes, Ahmed, this only because this question, I did say at the end. In terms of those that, okay, let me just help those that want to know how they would better their chance of getting accepted. Now, if, for example, I come from, I come from Suriname, for example, okay, only because one of my friends is actually from Suriname. But let's say I come from Suriname. So, of course, it's not a country that's well known to a lot of people, let's just say. I'm just giving you an example, okay? And I have a Suriname passport, but at the same time, I have a Dutch passport. Now, which passport should I apply with? Which one is going to give me a better chance? Of course, that which is good, that that which Allah decrees is, of course, without a doubt, that which is best for a person. And al-ilm indallah, knowledge, obviously, all knowledge is that which Allah knows. Allah is the best of knower. So, of course, without a doubt, Allah knows everything, and Allah is the best of planners. Which one would I apply? Maybe I can apply when I'm using my Dutch passport and I'll get accepted. But however, just giving you guys the more or less, I'm just breaking it down to you so you all know. Everyone generally out there applying to the university that has been accepted, that has applied for 2 different passports, those that are actually looking at the applicants, those that work for the university, if you come from a country like Suriname and you apply with that passport, without a doubt, you have a 10 times more chance of getting accepted than if you apply with a Dutch passport. Because they look at the number, how many people have applied from Holland? They maybe get, let's say, 5,000. Let's just give you an example this year. From Suriname, probably will be like 3 people, let's just say. So, of course, without a doubt, you've got a high chance. Just like a brother that has a passport, I don't know, from Djibouti, okay? And a brother that has a passport that lives in America. So he's got dual nationality. Of course, by that, I would advise him apply with the passport where there's less people in the actual university. And how can you guys find out how many people get accepted? If you go on the website that I've given actually the link to, the actual main website for the University of Medina, then you can find out how many people get accepted from worldwide. And that way you would actually know, Ikhwan, how many people apply to the university from each country. So if you've got dual nationality, my best advice to you all would be to apply with of course, the country that least applicants apply from. So just to clear that. And of course, as well, if someone is a revert, then they have a higher chance of getting accepted. That's also another thing. But like I said, this discussion would lead me into a whole new topic that I don't want to get into right now because that wasn't the reason of this discussion. But it's just in terms of obviously those that wanted to know. Of course, without a doubt, the university, they set up and they want to spread the ilm and the khair to worldwide. So of course, those people that have applied, they don't have a lot of how should I put it? They don't come from an Islamic background. Then of course they'll be more eager for them to apply and to they'll be more eager for them to accept these kind of students because of the fact that they can be the reasons of their parents accepting Islam, their family members, and spreading the deen, according to the Quran and Sunnah. So this is just an example of, those brothers that wanting to know whether if someone's a reader or not a reader. But like I said, all of it is down to Allah Azza wa Jalla. So it's not a thing where just because you're a reader, you're always going to get accepted more than someone that's not a reader. That's not the case. I'm just giving you guys just like a scenario. And of course as well, if someone comes from a specific country, then if he comes from a specific city where there hasn't been a lot of people that have applied, then he's got a stronger chance as well. Now, to proceed, first and foremost, I advise all those that have been accepted, all those that are applying, to have ikhlas billah Azza wa Jalla. That's very, very important. إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. Very deeds are based upon intention, so have ikhlas. Make it a thing where you're applying for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jalla. Make it a thing where you want to get out there to seek knowledge for the sake of Allah alone. And that's something that's really, really important. And the second one is, let's say, inshallah, you're a brother now, you've been accepted, you're watching this, you've been accepted. What pieces of advice can you take you out there? That inshallah will be of benefit. I'll for it to be of benefit. Of course, sincerity, like I said, is the first thing. Second one is to be truthful to yourself. Have sidq. Be truthful to yourself. Because Allah Azza wa Jalla, without a doubt, the one that knows his level, Allah inshallah will raise him. Rahimallahu abdan arafa qadra nafsah. So Allah has mercy upon the slave or servant that knows his level. So we should always be aware of, just because you're going to try the path of seeking knowledge, you want to seek knowledge, full of yourself, never get ahead of yourself, because this is very dangerous. Now, pieces of advice that I've taken myself, and I literally just jotted some down here in my notepad just so that I can pass them to you, or those inshallah that I'm going to apply, is it's very important. The ulama used to tell us this when we were there, and generally speaking, you're going to hear this advice from people that have actually been out there or have actually left or graduated, is you have to make sure you try your most best to implement the hadith. Al-maru ala man ahab wal-maru ala dini khalili. A person is upon the religion of his companion. Okay, فَلْيَنْظُرْ أَحَدُكُمْ man, you should, every single person should realize this hadith every single time, no matter what you're doing in life generally. Every single person should look towards whom they take as their companion, because it's very important. So when you're out there, a lot of brothers maybe are peer pressured to be with a certain group or to be with their friends that they know. Of course, this is very important. I'm not saying to you guys go out there and be aliens or go out there self-isolate. No, but I'm saying it's very important to choose your friends wisely, because wallahi, ikhwan, you're only going to get one shot. When you're there and when you leave, you realize, wow, subhanAllah, how much what did I do all that time? Has it been that many years? Even if it's for just 1 year, it goes by like that. So it's very important for us to realize and to know that when you're out there, it's very, very, very crucial for you to choose your friends correctly. Who you're going to spend your time with, who you're going to sit with, who you're going to go to lessons with. All of these things are very important. So from the most important things is that when you're choosing people to be with, don't make your circle so large and so big, because it's not needed. That is going to cause you to waste time even more. If you have 10 friends, every single day you meet up with them and you're with 10 friends, what are you doing with time with 10 people? It's too much. It's way too much. So the first thing that I say is choose only maybe 3 people that you're always around and you're always with. And these people, who should they be? What are the characteristics of my friends that should be with me when I'm in Medina, or when I'm in whatever it may be in terms of seeking knowledge and generally in life? Then, as an advice that the ulama gave us, they should be someone that's stronger than you. So if I'm, for example, at a certain level, I should have my friend who's higher than me. For example, his memory is stronger than mine. His hip is much more stronger than me. He's much more righteous than me. I see him better than me in terms of Arabic language. So I'm going to benefit from him more. This is something important. So let's say, for example, I want to be serious. I want to go out there and study. My friend should be someone that wants to go out there and study, but at the same time, they should be better than me, so that I will benefit my time more and we won't indulge in idle talk and nonsense. Because this is something that happens a lot. It's something that happens a lot. That's the first thing. Whenever you're out there, a thing that you should know is don't be scared, because this is something that's very, very important. And Ikhwan, I want all of you guys to pay attention with me here. It's very, very important. There's a lot of peer pressure that happens out there. There is a lot of peer pressure. When you go out there, you're peer pressured to doing a lot of things that maybe you wouldn't even know you're going to be peer pressured in doing. So from them is being seen with people. Now, Ikhwan, you have to realize when you're out there, you applied by yourself. You chose to pick up that application form and fill it in online and send it through. You traveled out there by yourself. You're going to be put in a room, and you're going to be in your room by yourself with whoever roommate you have, whatever roommate you may be with. Now, is it really important what the people think about you and what they say? As long as you're pleasing Allah Azza wa Jal and you're there and you're sincere, you're being truthful to yourself, you're, of course, without a doubt, trying your best to strive and to implement that which you're learning, then you shouldn't care. You shouldn't care. You should be someone that could care less. You should be as a person that you shouldn't even care what people are saying about you. That's very important. So when you're out there, why I'm saying this is because if you're a person that you are very vigilant with your time, and you only have a certain amount of people you hang around with, 2 to 3 people maximum, and even within them people, you're very vigilant with your time and you're very serious and you're hardworking, of course, without a doubt, people are going to say, okay, why is it he's not always here? Why is it he's not always here with us in the cafes, in here, playing this, doing that? But it's not important. The main thing is, of course, that you set your time, because you know that you're only there once and anything can happen within the years you're there. Anything can arise. So if you're there, then you should make sure that you use your time wisely. And inshallah, within that time you're having, and I'm going to get to the point, it doesn't mean you're some sort of harsh, strict person. No, have fun when you're there as well. Make a timetable. And this is, of course, without a doubt, it has been mentioned in my videos in the past, where I've said that you should get into a timetable in the weekend where you meet up with your friends, you chill, you do sports, whatever hobby that you do best in terms of relaxing yourself and taking your mind off things, then do so. This is very important as well. But I'm talking about when you're actually there during the time when you're studying, that's it. Use it for that. Don't use it for anything else, to waste time, to indulge in other things, because it's not gonna benefit you in any way, sort or form. Something that's very important is you should revise your lessons. The lessons that you have, whether it's in the Jamia or it's with the ulama, you should revise your lessons. And when I say revise, I mean go over them. So you have a notepad, and each lesson that you may have within the Arabic Institute or the Kulliyah, you should have a daftar khas, you should have a specific notepad for that lesson. And with each scholar, you have a specific notepad as well. So you're organized, and you manage your lessons properly and accordingly. That's something very, very important. And when you do so, whenever the lesson finishes, you go over your notes with your what? With your peers. Now, having said this, Ikhwan, a lot of people think that they're going to go out there and it's going to be a piece of cake, it's going to be a walk in the park. It's far from it. It's far from it, ikhwan. You have to understand and realize that people out here in the West, or generally in the West when they're studying, they say that too many lessons is too much for them. Or 5 lessons I can't keep up with, it's too much. It's too much of a load. Well, you have to realize when you go out there, you're studying 7 lessons plus. Like the minimum is 7 lessons that you have daily. So you have to be someone that's already, put in your mind that you're going to go out there, you're going to study, have 7 lessons plus every day that you have to work. This is just in the journey, let alone if you want to sit with the scholars. So it's something that's very, very important for us to realize. In terms of your studies as well, you have to make sure you keep up to your studies. You keep on top of your studies and you keep up with them. If you're given homework, if you're given essays, do it as soon as you're given it. If you've been given something to do this week and finish it now, don't let everything overload. Because once you do that, it gets a bit too much. At the end of the month, you have maybe 15, you haven't submitted a single one. You've got people that want to spend time with you maybe on a weekend, and then you may hear of a new lesson up in the Haram, Masjid Nabawi, there's a new lesson, or in Mecca or in Riyadh, whatever you may be, and you've got already 15 essays, but you spent all your time the first month when you were giving them essays, chilling and having a good time. So if you keep on top of things as well, it will help you keep and stay within it will help you basically keep on track, and it will also help you stay in the university and complete your studies. Because we've had many fallouts, many brothers have come and gone. When I mean many, I mean plenty. More than that which you can think of have come and they've gone, come and gone, come and gone. So it's very, very important. There's so many things. We could be here all day discussing things, but I just jotted down a couple of notes that I think I see that are important, and that which you're going to study now. So let me give some advice to the brothers that are that are going to dive into the Ma'had, the Arabic Institute, that don't know Arabic, or the Arabic is not to a level where they can go to the faculty, to the Kulliyah. My advice would be for all those going to the Ma'had is you have to realize that learning the Arabic language is that you need to dedicate your time to. It's not something that you're just going to pick up yourself, get accepted, go to the university, sit in the lessons, and that's it. It's just going to come. You're going to drink a glass of Arabic. No, it's not that. It's not like that. Knowledge is not like that in general. We all know that without a doubt. So the things that are important is try your utmost best. And this is advice that I was given to many brothers in Allah reward them before I went there, and I did see the fruits of it. Meaning I realized that it is so important to take these kind of advices from them, where to make sure the friends that you have, that you chill with, that you spend time with, that you have a laugh with your peers, keep that whole friendship and gathering on a weekend. Okay, and this is just me being blunt and straightforward. Keep it on a weekend. Keep it on a weekend. In terms of those that you should accompany yourself with daily, are those that don't speak English. I'm not saying don't stick with just the Brits if you're British, because that's not enough. It's not sufficient. No, I'm talking about if you're British, then don't chill and speak with. I'm talking about Yam of Dirasa, the days when you're studying from Sunday to Thursday. You should not accompany yourself with brothers that speak English, especially if you're in a Ma'had and you're learning Arabic. Because if you reach a certain level and you know Arabic and what have you, then of course it's different. But I'm talking about those that are in the Arabic Institute. As many brothers ask me, but brother, how do you increase your Arabic? How do you better your Arabic? How do you become fluent in Arabic language? And then you see what they're doing every single day. I'm not saying it's easy, Ikhwan. Of course it's not easy, but this is something that, once again, it's about what you want to put in. Whatever you put in, you're going to get out. That's just, straight and forward. What you put in is that what you're going to get out. It's very simple. Now, if you're a person where you're going to be sitting down and, chilling with the Brits and the Americans and the Canadians and the Swedish and what have you, and you're always speaking English and you're always conversating in the English language, your Arabic is going to remain at a certain level. Whether you like it or not, this is the truth. It's going to remain at a certain level. And in terms of your fluency, it's going to remain, the way I've seen as a trend is that majority of the brothers that came and always were chilling with those that spoke English, their Arabic level, they got to the Kulliyah, and it's like as if you can tell they just came out of the Ma'had yesterday. Why? Because of the fact that they weren't using the language. If you ask them to do Arab of this and that, in terms of their grammar, the Arabic literature, it was perfect. They understood the principles and what have you. But I'm talking about speaking now. They weren't fluent in the language because they weren't using it. You have to use that language that you have. That's very, very important as well. So once again, it's very important to not be always circulating yourself, accompanying yourself with those that speak English. Your friends and your peers, you didn't go out there to make friends, Ikhwan. This is something Also very important. I'm not, don't get wrong, don't, understand me wrong. I'm not being harsh or anything. I'm just trying to give you the advice that you can stick in a lane and accomplish your goal, and, achieve that which you came out to do. You as a person, you did not go out and apply and actually go to Medina to seek friends. That's not why, that's not the mission, or it shouldn't be your mission if that's what you have in your mind. Because you have your friends where you are. Wherever you are in the world, you have your friends. If you want to make more friends, you can do it wherever you are. You can stay put. But in terms of going out there, you didn't go out there to seek friends and to make a bigger circle. Of course, it's good to have some sort of strong network whilst out there, but that's your sole reason when you're going out there. So therefore, your time shouldn't be wasted in doing other than that which you came out to do, which is to learn, to get close to Allah Azza wa Jal, to learn the Arabic language so you can learn the Islamic, the Islamic principles and that which you need to learn to strengthen your relationship, your sila with you and your Lord, to strengthen that relationship between you and Allah Azza wa Jal. So these things is going to deviate you from making you actually stay on that path and be firm upon it. If you don't use the Arabic language, if your roommate is, nothing as well, trying your best to show your roommate is someone that doesn't speak English. Because I remember my times when I was there, I didn't choose who I was staying with, but my roommate was an Algerian and an Indonesian and a Chinese brother. None of them spoke English at all. So it's like I had to get, like I want to tell them, can you switch off the lights? So I have to go and flick through and such. But it actually was something that was really annoying in the beginning. So I was like, oh, I really wish you could speak English. But then afterwards, I learned that it was, alhamdulillah, Allah made that easy for me, that specific thing where my roommates were not those that spoke English language. And it's something that's very important because now they've changed the system. And most of the times you're going to see yourself being with someone that speaks English. So if it's the case, then ask to change rooms. Ask to have a roommate that doesn't speak English so that you can actually increase in your Arabic language. And in terms of your roommate, there will be someone that will help you. I know brothers that were blessed that, they were in the Ma'had and their roommates were masters or their roommates were Arab. That's a blessing in itself, blessing in disguise, because you're going to have to use that language. Whether you like it or not, you're going to have to. So that's another thing. Unless you're, those that they all speak Arabic and you're going to speak Arabic, then of course, alhamdulillah, like I said, that's something very important. Another thing as well is those that are in the Arabic Institute and want to increase the Arabic language, then they need to use it. And when I say use it, I don't mean just to, in class, because they get some brothers, they use the Arabic language just in class, and as soon as they step out the classroom, that's it. They're just speaking their language. No, it's very important for what? For you to use your Arabic even when you're in, the marketplace, when you're in the taxi, when you're in your car, if you're going to be driving, in the haram, everywhere you may go when you're doing Umrah, whatever it may be. Even if you're in Mecca or Riyadh, whatever it may be, use Arabic language, because that way is going to increase. And it will help you yourself as a person. Because if the more you use it, then the more confident you're going to be, then the more you'll be confident in class, the more you're going to ask questions, the more you can go to scholars yourself. This is the whole point of it. Because when you're Arabic at a certain stage, you don't need to ask someone for you. And so you've got this chain, when it's like you're there, you've been blessed to be a student in Medina, use the Arabic to go to the scholar yourself directly and ask him the question that you may want to ask. Or your teacher inside your classroom. This is obviously it's something that's going to help you yourself. But if you're someone that never uses it, you don't have confidence in this, you're always going to remain that, at that stage where you're not going to have confidence. So therefore, you're going to have to ask someone else, to ask someone else, to ask someone else. Another thing that's important is, and a lot of brothers may take this the wrong way, they think it's not important. Maybe some brothers will be confused, but how can that be? If you're in the Arabic Institute, it doesn't mean you stay away from the scholars. It doesn't mean that you wait 2 years and then you start sitting with the scholars. No, this is wrong. One has to utilize his time whilst he's in the Arabic Institute, because they call it the golden years. The golden 2 years that you have, you're going to wish you had it again. You're going to wish you had it every single year when you get to that kulliyah, when you get to that institute. So one has to understand and know that just because you're in the Arabic Institute, it doesn't mean you can't actually sit with the scholars. This is wrong, because this is the best time to sit with the scholars. But I don't mean bombarding yourself with 5 lessons a week and then you've got the rest. No. It's very simple. And I'll give you example of maybe 2 to 3 scholars that you can sit with in the haram. And this is something very important. One is learning language, as we all know. It's very important for you to what? Listen. To sit in a halaqah, sit down in a lesson and listen. And have a notepad and a pen. Even if you're probably going to be like, I can't even write anything because the scholar's going to be speaking too fast. Or my understanding isn't that good enough to, hear and jot down at the same time. Well, this is when practice makes perfect. You're going to be able to practice, and inshallah, it's going to become better, and it's going to be able to perfect it, where you're going to reach a certain stage where you can sit in the lesson and you understand all of it, and you're going to be writing fast. And then once again, what does this benefit? There's many brothers that have graduated and are able to sit in a lesson and write fast. Why? Because they never used to sit with scholars generally. It was just a thing where they used to sit in class and they used to take down notes, 1 or 2 notes, meaning like every single, like you take 1 or 2 notes that are important. But it's very important because when you get to the kulliyah, ikhwan, you have to understand, you're just getting lectured. The ma'had is very different. The teacher's writing on the board more, you've got more interaction. It's more like a secondary school, high school kind of, institute method of learning. But when you get to kulliyah, you're being lectured in the Arabic language. There's some teachers that come, and they sit down, and as soon as they sit down, they start speaking, and that's their lesson. And you have to have the book, and you have to write down, and they'll tell someone to read, and then they'll just make ta'liqat. Literally, they'll literally just explain points, bits and bobs, things are not clear, they'll explain it, so they're just lecturing you. So all you have to do is, you have to be someone that can write fast, and you have to understand them as well. So all of this is going to help you, inshallah, ikhwan. So once again, going back to the topic, if you're in an Arabic institute, then you can sit at least once, maximum twice in a week, okay? Depending on how good you are in terms of, managing out your time. But I would say a good amount of times that you should sit with the scholars. In the beginning stage, is just twice, okay? Just twice. And from them, that, their Arabic is very simple, and they explain books that are very light and simple for those that are new, is Sheikh Abdul Razak, Hafidhahullah. Sheikh Abdul Razak al-Badr, he sits in the Haram and he teaches there. So from his lessons are, his Arabic, he speaks slowly, it's understandable even for those that are learning to, to master the Arabic language. It's very, very simple for those that are in the ma'had for them to sit down and learn with the Sheikh Abdul Razak al-Badr, Hafidhahullah. That's the first one. The second scholar I would say that he speaks even slower as well is Sheikh Nasir al-Faqihi. Okay, that's another scholar as well. And you can find all these names, in terms of, the timetable when you get there, inshallah, you can ask the brothers. But Sheikh Nasir al-Faqihi, he sits as well in the front side next, of the Haram, and he teaches. And I think he's only there 2 times or 3 times a week. Sheikh Abdul Razak as well, he's there more or less every other day, or every day I should say. So you can just choose 2 times you come and you just, and I'm going to explain to you how you do it. And then you have Sheikh Salih al-Hudayfi as well, who's a bit older. He sits on the other side near Malik Abdul Aziz, and you can sit with him, and he speaks very slowly as well, and it's understandable. But you have some brothers that come, and once again, ikhwan, I'm just trying to give you advice, because some brothers like myself, I fell into the mistake of doing so because I didn't have anyone to advise me. Like I came the first time and I was sitting with like maybe 4 or 5 different scholars, and I'm like, I'm not even doing anything because I'm just sitting there, I'm just trying to write, but I can't. I'm falling behind in my classes, and you have to realize that everything in due time and proportion. If you do something, do it properly. Don't overload yourself. Don't bombard yourself with things, because then you're going to end up leaving everything off. But like I said, ikhwan, Sheikh Abdul Razak, Sheikh Nasir al-Faqihi, and Sheikh Salih al-Hudayfi. These are the scholars that I'd say in the Haram that teach now currently. Their lessons are very simple and understandable. Now, how exactly do you, as a student that doesn't understand much Arabic, actually benefit in these lessons? Now, first and foremost, you're going to have the malaika surrounding you, sakina, rahmah. Allah mentioned in his gathering. So just in terms of reward in itself, you're going to be rewarded because you're sitting with the alim, you're sitting with the inheritance of the prophets. So that's something that's very important, ikhwan. And it's going to let you understand the level of the ulama, because you need to kind of know who the ulama are, so you can benefit from them, and you can see the way they carry themselves. You can even benefit from their knowledge, and also, before that, you can benefit from their mannerisms, the way they speak to people, the way they address, the way they, give everyone time, the way they teach, the way they sit, everything. There's so many things that you can. There can be a whole lesson in terms of what is the benefit of sitting with the scholar, like a lesson in itself. Now, very simple, ikhwan. You have a pen, you have a notepad. He's going to be speaking. You sit in the lesson, and you're going to observe. Okay, and as he's, of course, speaking, be attentive, pay attention, and he's going to say some things. Let's say he's going to say a line in Arabic. Okay. وعن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم في هذا الحديث وقوله وقيل, and then you're going to be like, okay, so many things are being said, but I don't understand. It's going to almost sound like, but you're going to hear something. Maybe you'll be like, al-kitab. And maybe you may write it, as you're writing it, you may write al-kitaba. let's just say, okay, let's just say you wrote al-kitab. Okay, I don't know if you guys can see, but let's say you wrote al-kitab, which is complete wrong word in terms of that which he said. Okay, and then you're going to write another word. That'll be the first one that you manage to kind of get and understand. And then there's going to be a next line of sentences that he's going to say. He's going to explain something, and you'll be like al-hadith. You know, let's say you write hadithun. Okay, or let's say you write hadithan. Just giving you guys an example. Of course, you're going to make lots of mistakes, but what is this doing? It's now making you be at a stage where you're able to listen and write down something. Then what I used to do, just a point of benefit, is my roommate was Indonesian and he would sit in that lesson that I was sitting with Sheikh Abdul Razak. So when I'll go back to my room, you know, I'll speak to him in, you know, the limited Arabic that I knew. And as I'll speak to him, I'll ask him, is this right? Is this right? And he'll put next to everything. He knew maybe one or two words. He'd be like, no, khata. You know, and he would tell me, and it was completely wrong. You know, I was writing it wrong. And I'm like, okay, no problem. Next time I go to the next lesson. And alhamdulillah, by the tawfiq of Allah, I saw myself that after a stage, and this is what I'm saying to you guys, after a period of time, let's say a month or two, you would see yourself that you're sitting down, and as you're sitting down, in the first week, probably you've got, you know, let's say he's spoken, let's say 5 pages of that which is given in terms of explanation. Let's say he's explaining Usul Thalatha, and you've only written down 2 words. After that month, you would see that instead of it being 2 words, it will be a sentence that you've written down. You know, everything bitadarruj, everything should be accordingly. You know, you should do stuff, you know, shay'an for shay'an, you know, take things bit by bit, you know, you're going to get better, bit by bit, stage by stage, you know. And at the end of them, let's say 2-3 months, you're going to see yourself that you were able to write down 15 words. Now that's 15 words in your vocab bank. So you've got now that vocabulary bank, and you've got 15 new words that you never knew before. And of course, it's not just a thing where you're going to know them. How are you going to know them? As you've written them down, you're going to go back to your dictionary, and you're going to see, what does this mean? What does al-kitab, al-hadar, you know, inqita', what are these things? What do they mean? I don't understand. And then of course, you're going to see yourself that you reach a stage where, alhamdulillah, mashallah, tabarakallah, you're able to actually know certain things that you didn't know back, you know, a long time ago, meaning, you know, before the 2 months started, you know, before you actually sat down with a scholar. And you have to understand, in the Arabic Institute, you're not going to really get this kind of vibe and these kind of things happening, because they're giving you the tools now. And when they're giving you the tools, you have to use them at the same time so they can become stronger. Because once they get to kulliyah, once you reach that stage of kulliyah, it's too late to be given tools. You now need to be able to to understand everything in terms of that which is being said in a lesson. You have to go away and do your own research. You know, you're treated more or less like a proper, that's, you know, you have to understand, when you get to kulliyah, it's like you've actually started the talab, you've started seeking, you know, knowledge in terms of the university curriculum, you know, the academic way. You started to actually jot down things yourself, you started to do research, you've now, you know, bought more books, you're able to read, research, so many things that you're able to do by yourself. You're more independent in terms of, you know, the lesson, where in the Arabic Institute, you're just being fed, you know, the food on the table, you're being fed it, and you have to take it away. So everyone chooses what to do with that which they're being fed. Either you use it or just keep it, and it stays at one stage. So this is something that's very, very important for all of those that are in the Arabic Institute, is that you actually go out there and you sit with the scholars. And once you do that, you're going to see yourself that your number one, your listening skills are going to become stronger. Your speaking skills are going to become stronger, because you're going to have to speak to someone to help you find the meaning of the word. Of course, you're going to also be doing extensive research, looking in a dictionary. So, of course, by you increasing your vocab, you're going to increase your speaking. And also your writing is going to become better as well. Because, of course, without a doubt, one that is in an Arabic Institute, mustawa awwal or thani, first level or second level, their writing may not be as good, and speaking may not be as good, their understanding is not as good. But when you get to that level and you're the one in your classroom, let's say there's 30, 20 of you, you're the one sitting with scholars twice every single week, you're going to see your level, you know, increase and become better and better and better, because you're able now to sit in the Arabic Institute, and it's going to be like a walk in the park, because what you're learning is not like what you're sitting down and listening to scholars and what have you. That's another piece of advice. Another piece of advice that I can say and I'll give to the brothers is to make sure you know, listen to some sort of lesson or radio. Everything should be in Arabic. Try your best, you know, just change everything to be in Arabic. When you're in the classroom, try your best to participate, to answer the questions, to go up in the front if the teacher asks you to do so, All of this is going to make your Arabic better. You're going to increase in your confidence in using Arabic language. All of these things are very, very important. Now, don't forget, because a lot of brothers may tell you otherwise, so this is the wrong advice. Brothers say, no, you don't need to sit with the scholars until you learn Arabic, but that's going to be 2 years. And you obviously have to understand, as humans, you're going to get used to a certain way of life, and you're going to be used to a certain kind of schedule for 2 years straight. Now, when you get to, this is also mentioned in the video that I mentioned, spoke to one of the brothers, when you get now to the kuliya, it's like it's difficult for you to try and sit with scholars because you're not used to that kind of life. You're not used to sitting down and, twice a week, out of your own actual study and from 8 to 12 time to sit with the scholar. You're not used to that. So it's going to be difficult. So therefore, you shouldn't wait until you get to the what? To the faculty. Like I said to you, it doesn't have to be many times, just twice, one scholar. Yakfi. Alhamdulillah is more than enough. It's sufficient. This is something very important. Now, in terms of those that have, wondering or questioning, how am I going to do that? How am I going to find out? Once again, ikhwan, you came there by yourself, pick up your bags, pick up your phone, find the lessons, and get a taxi. You don't need anyone to take you. You don't need to be fed. Like I said, ikhwan, a lot of brothers out there, they want things to be, given to them. No, if you want to seek knowledge and you want to go and sit with the scholars, Masjid Nabawi, alhamdulillah, there's a bus that goes there all the time. Go there. You don't need to go to a lesson far out somewhere. No, just keep it simple for yourself in the beginning. Get on that bus, go, or the taxi, whatever, 2 riyal, go. Get to the masjid, sit down with the scholar. Alhamdulillah, you're in the haram, you're getting rewarded, you're in a beautiful place, beautiful place where you're seeking knowledge. You're actually doing extra than that which you went out there for. And you're going to pick up things that you'll never ever pick up elsewhere. And something also very, very important is that one should make time in the week where they, meet up with their friends. Socializing is very important. Socializing is very, very, very important. If you're there and you have friends that you can meet up with them, then of course you should do so within a week, at least once, or twice. But of course, not too many times. Don't be someone that goes there just to socialize, because of course then you're not going to be able to last. And others that are there just, subhanAllah, the time is, they're always free. It shouldn't be the case. You as a person shouldn't be always free. Someone that wants to, and you would see, like I said, this once again, it helps if you try to be around the scholars and seek knowledge. You're going to see how busy they are themselves, because they're always seeking knowledge. They don't have time for, just wasting time. You shouldn't be as a person where you're always free. It's not something that's good. It's not a good attribute or trait to have as a person. You're always free. You should be vigilant with your time. You should always be on top of your books, on top of your work, always finishing everything, essays completed, homeworks completed, research completed, trying your utmost best to learn that language, complete the Quran within the 2 years that you're there in the Arabic Institute, memorize a hadith, memorize mutun. All these things are things that you should do already before you even reach the kulliyah. So once you get to the kulliyah, and this is advice that I was giving myself by my teachers, because once you get to the kulliyah, you're going to see how busy it is. You're going to only then you would realize how busy it is. And in terms of the ma'had, is it going to be something that's sufficient? It's not something that's sufficient. It's not enough for you to just be in the Arabic Institute and then for the Arabic language to be at a level where you need it to be when you get to kulliyah. Because you have to remember, ikhwan, when you are in the Arabic Institute, you're just learning the Medina books and ta'bir and qira'ah and these kind of things. When you get to the Arabic to the faculty, you're learning Alfiyat ibn Malik, and you're going through big books that really and truly you should have gone through another 2 years, like I should say, like a tamhidi kind of thing, where before you get to the kulliyah, it's like an A level, it's like something in between, but they don't have that. So therefore, you need to make sure you strive more when you're in the Arabic Institute to increase in your Arabic language, to better yourself, to memorize the Quran, because when you're out there in the faculty, you're gonna need to know verses, the meanings, and so many things, fiqh, and all these things. You're gonna need to know so many things. That's why if you're able to get to a stage before you get to the faculty, then inshallah, once you get there, it will be a walk in the park in terms of you're going to find your journey much more easier, I should say, and much more enjoyable. I'm not going to say it's a walk in the park. Now, in terms of, there's been a question I was posed, and I wanted to kind of just touch on it a little bit. And inshallah, in the near future, I will kind of go into it more extensively, much more detail. It was, how do I manage my time sitting with the scholars, but at the same time, I've got so many things. Now, ikhwan, you have to understand the 5 faculties, the lugha, Quran, Sharia, Hadith, and Da'wah. From them, Quran and Hadith are the most overloaded kulliyas, I should say. I hope I'm using the correct word. It's overloaded in terms it's a heap of work that you have to do. You get a lot of things you have to memorize. Teachers generally give you more as well, include Hadith. They generally tend to give you more work. So all these things should kind of be taken into consideration. So once you are at the stage where you're going to choose which faculty you're going to go in, you have to realize and know that don't go into a faculty unless you love it and you like it. And inshallah, if you're able to manage your time correctly, then you're able to go into any faculty at the same time, sit with the scholars. Because it's not just enough just to go into a faculty and leave off the scholars. The scholars are there for you to benefit from. They are the inheritance of the Prophet. So then you should actually sit down and benefit from them. You know, that which you can manage. Because many brothers, and you've seen in the videos, and many brothers will tell you, those wherever you live in the world, that in terms of the things that they regret the most is not sitting with the scholars more, not benefiting their time as they should have, not sitting with the scholars. It's very important because you can't go back and just, you know, be at a stage where you think that that's it, you know, I graduated. No. You know, some ulama, they say once you've graduated, that's when you start seeking knowledge. So it's very important for us to realize that, you know, seeking knowledge is at the feet of the ulama. That's without a doubt. So if you're going to go into a faculty, then go into one that you should be able to manage your time correctly, but know that Hadith and Quran are the ones where you're going to be overloaded more than, you know, if you're in Da'wah or if you're in Sharia or Lugha. So these are things that's very, very important. And for the brothers that are in the kulliyah, my, you know, a couple of tips and advices is that, you know, try your utmost best to keep on top of things and to make sure you don't take it, you know, lightly because you're in kulliyah, you're nearly there. That's it, you know, you kind of start easing off and, you know, being more lenient. No, keep on top of things because the curriculum that has been set up in each and every faculty is very beneficial. It's very, very beneficial. So you should, as a person in the kulliyah, be able to have reached that stage where you're managing your time correctly and you're sitting with the scholars even more. Because now you're at the stage where your understanding is, you know, should be at a certain stage. Your memory should be at a certain stage. You, in terms of knowing how to write, to sit down and take notes from scholars. So that's the time you use and utilize to sit with the scholars even more than you're doing so in the Arabic school. And of course, it all goes back down to managing your time. If you're someone that's very, very good at time management, then inshallah it will be easy for you. And also, without a doubt, if you're in kulliyah, you should be even more than you was in the Arabic Institute, vigilant with your time. Therefore, less wasting time and not, you know, less wasting time and more, you know, using your time wisely to benefit. Also, one should try the utmost best. And a lot of people have said this without a doubt that, you know, if you're there 6 years, really and truly, within the 6 years, you should have completed the Quran. Something that should be number one target for everyone out there. You know, to complete the Quran and to try the utmost best to complete it, memorize it, and act upon it. Because if you're there for 6 years and you haven't completed the Quran, then, you know, you may not be given the same opportunity as you was when you were out there in Medina or in Riyadh or in Mecca, or whatever it may be, in Qasim, in Yamba, because many institutes in Saudi Arabia. So, you know, or in Misr, wherever you may be, generally seeking knowledge, you know, Quran should be something that you should try your utmost best to complete and memorize. Because not something that's difficult, and of course, if you dedicate your time to it, inshallah, you'll be able to do so. Can you go there if you're young? Then of course, yes, you can. Now, another topic, I think this one I'm going to leave out for today, but the topic was, should I get married first? Or should I go to the university first? Which one should I do first? Should I get married first or should I go to the university first? Now, this question, without a doubt, Ikhwan, is something that I can't answer for you as a person because everyone knows themselves better than anyone else. You know, I can't say to you as a brother, yes, get married. Or as a brother, yes, go to the Jannah first and get married after. Everything goes back down to a person, and everyone's on different, you know, stages. As we all know, the hadith, يا معشر الشباب من استطاع منكم الباءة فليتزوج وإن لم يستطع فعليه بالصوم. You know, all group of people and youth. For those of you that are able financially, you know, and have the capability of doing so in terms of getting married, then you should do so. And if you don't have the capability and you can't, then it's upon you as what? Fasting. And this hadith is very clear, Ikhwan, but it's like some brothers, are you at the stage where, you know, you need to get married? And how could someone tell you otherwise? or are you in a stage where you don't need to get married now? All this goes back down to you as a person. You have to weigh out the things. But what I can give all of you that are in this kind of situation is, if you are at a stage where financially you're stable and you can actually go out there and deposit 5,000, let's say, pounds, which is equivalent to like 25,000 riyals, which is what means this is one of the conditions in actually bringing out your spouse, then of course this is something that, alhamdulillah, at least you can get married and know that you're going to be able to do. You're going to be able to bring them, and then obviously how much it is in terms of supporting them, in terms of a house and what have you. Then of course, without a doubt, you can do so, ikhwan. This is beneficial because you're going to be going out there and you're not going to just change your life, but you're going to change your life and your spouse's life, because they're going to benefit in being there. They're going to benefit, living in such a beautiful land, and benefit from the knowledge of the scholars. But at the same time, is like, can you manage it? Are you someone that can manage looking after, and you're responsible enough to look after yourself and seek knowledge, keep on top of studies, and look after your spouse? Once again, this goes back down to you as a person. Now, are you as a person someone that can't do that? Are you as a person where if you get too busy and occupied with seeking knowledge, you're going to neglect the rights of your spouse? Once again, it's another question that's very important. I can't answer that for you as a person. You have to be the one answering that. Are you as a person where if you go out there and you meet new people, you're going to even forget about your spouse? You're just going to be just left in between four walls. This is something, once again, I can't answer for you. So many things you have to put in consideration, ikhwan. You don't just think about yourself when you go out there, That's another thing as well. Another brother just asks, how do you provide for your family? Once again, it's like, I didn't answer it in the previous question, ikhwan. So if you go back to one of the live, I think it was the first live discussion, or the one I just did maybe a month and a half ago, then you find the answer there, because I don't want to, go into that. But like, once again, you have to find the means of providing for your family. You have to understand, you have to be able to put down £1,000, British pounds, okay, which is equivalent to 25,000. You have to know that at least it's going to cost you 3,000, let's just say average £3,000 for rent accommodation for the whole year, from January until December, which is equivalent to 15,000 riyals. Okay, I'm just saying, I'm giving you an average. And then at the same time, you have to know that you have to be the one to pay for her visa. Okay, you have to pay for the renewal of the visa, and also a ticket as well. Provide a ticket to the country and back. Generally, don't provide that for your spouse or your family, for your children if you have children. So once again, all of these things you have to kind of bear in mind before you actually go out or make a decision to do something. Okay, so this is something that's all important, before you actually go into something like this. And once again, before all of that, are you yourself ready for marriage as a brother? Are you ready for marriage really? Ask yourself that question. Am I actually ready to get married? And then I actually want to go out there to a country that I don't know, and I'm going to take someone else there. Am I man enough to do that? Am I responsible enough to do such a thing? Because it's not easy, ikhwan. And once again, everyone handles situations differently. Some brothers have been out there, and sadly, it kind of ended in divorce because they weren't able to manage. Some of them weren't able to bring their family. They thought they were going to. They thought they had a plan, but they didn't. And then they went out there, and it ended up in divorce. So many things, ikhwan. So you don't want to ruin someone else's life as well. You have to bear it. You have to be wise as a person, as a Muslim, and someone that wants to seek knowledge. You have to be wise as well. And that's for today, ikhwan. May Allah Azza wa Jalla accept it. Now let me just go through all the questions from the beginning. Okay, which places do you recommend to study other than Saudi Arabia? There are many institutes, ikhwan. I don't want to just pinpoint one or two or anything like that. That's something that one should research themselves and see. But the ones that I know that maybe I myself have been to, or I know brothers that have gone to, is in Egypt. In terms of learning the Arabic language, and there's ulama there, and it's easy access. You can come in and come out. I think that's probably the easiest, I would say. Okay, that's probably the easiest. That's probably the easiest, I would say, for generally anyone living around the world. They can go out there, and I've been there myself, and they can actually, gain access to the ulama. They can go to the institutes of like the ones of Al-Ibana and Furqan. They can go there. It's very beneficial. I know some close friends of mine that have actually gone out there and benefited, tremendously, mashallah, tabarakallah. They have a beautiful program out there as well. So this is something that one can do. And also I know that there's also a place in Morocco, or there's places in Morocco that one can go. But in terms of information, and I don't know too much about it, and it's not the same as well like Egypt, but I do know there's places there as well, without a doubt. And also Egypt is very, very cheap as well. So in terms of financial wise, it's something that I think everyone can kind of manage. And also, Ikhwan, I would myself, not, actually, I should say that I would advise the brothers if they can go out to Egypt, because the Arabic there, the way it's laid out and set up, is very, 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 very beneficial. Is there also a place to focus on studying without having to pay rent? Unfortunately, Kuwait, we don't live in that kind of time where someone can just go and sit somewhere, sit in the masjid and just stay there and and learn and benefit without having to pay rent. Unfortunately, we don't live in them times anymore. So even if one was to go to Egypt, you have to pay rent, accommodation, food, and what have you. Yeah, I answered that question already. I answered the question about the list coming out already. I answered the question as well. I know, Ikhwan, like I said to you as well, brother Adhan and brother Furan Talha. Unfortunately, Akhi, I'm just the same as you in terms of knowing when this is going to come out. I have no extra knowledge that I have of when it's going to come out exactly, unfortunately. Actually, I can't answer that question, the last one that you put, because it's not something that I want to dive into, unfortunately. اللهم امين اخي جزاك الله خير brother AHS. Yeah, but it's a very important question, brother AF. The initials AF. He posed a question and said, is it possible for someone to go out to the likes of Medina, get accepted, studying Sharia, and then from there graduate from the Kuliya of Sharia, the faculty of Sharia, and then do masters postgraduate in Hadith? That's without a doubt you can do that. I can be in Hadith, I graduated, and now I'm doing Tariq. So I'm in Da'wah, I'm in the Kuliya of Da'wah in masters. So you're not limited, you're not subjected to staying within your faculty for masters. And then in PhD you can go from masters. So you can be in the faculty of Sharia, and then go to the masters of PhD, and then the master you can go masters of Kutub Da'wah, and then from there you can go PhD and do Lugha. It's all option, alhamdulillah. As long as you pass the exam and you do that, then you can do so. Yeah, Ikhwan, make sure you know, and like I said in the beginning of the video, is that you have to persevere, you have to be patient, and know that there's going to be a waiting time. It could be longer than expected, but this is one of the things that, inshallah, it should be the beginning stages of, you wanted to seek knowledge, being able to put up with just literally sitting on sitting on edge and not being given any sort of information. Some brothers, I think they speak language. If anyone has any questions now, I'm just literally going through the questions now, and then I'll end the session, then feel free to ask. Yeah, brother Muhammad, yes, that's possible, but it's very, very, very difficult, and I wouldn't advise anyone to do so, to go through that stage of trying to transfer from, let's say, for example, you're in Jamia Islamiyya, and you don't really like it there, or you want to try out it's very difficult, and they will make it very difficult. Most likely you're going to get rejected. The last person I know that got accepted, I was actually in the office at the time, I was informed that he was the last to actually get accepted. He was the last to actually get accepted. And that's because he was transferring for masters, not just faculty. Yeah, brother Muhammad, in terms of, do I think would there be another second accepted students? Of course, without that, you have to understand actually that, let's say they accepted 15 British students now, that wouldn't be it. There would be another bunch coming out soon as well. So just always, because it's happened many times in the past. I've got many students Okay, brothers are asking in terms of how can one actually get accepted. This video has come out already. Just check the actual channel, inshallah, and you'll find a step-by-step guide on actually how to apply to the university. Brother Hussein said that he's been accepted in a school in Riyadh. Is it possible to transfer to Medina to get accepted? Yeah, if you're in a school in Riyadh, then of course you're not in a university. If it's just a school and you haven't got accepted to Jamiat al-Iman, then inshallah the process should be easy. But obviously I would advise you to take a trip to the actual Medina University yourself and go in with your parents or go in with yourself if you can, if you're able to do so. And if you're living there yourself, and of course, without a doubt, just tell them the situation. Inshallah, it should be made easy for you. May Allah make it easy for you, Brother Hussein. Yeah, brother asks as well, had any tips of getting accepted? I mentioned already in the video the way that you can increase your chances of getting accepted. So please just check the video. Alaikum, brother, can you go to uni in America in 10th grade? Abdulghani, I think you meant to ask if you're able to apply to the University of Medina if you're in 10th grade. Unfortunately, I don't know what 10th grade is because I'm actually in UK. So I don't know what 10th grade is. I don't know what age. I'm guessing probably a 15, 16. I'm not sure. But if you are, then of course, yes, you can apply for it. So make sure you apply with some sort of qualifications. Brother Abdullah Umar, we asked, can you apply at the age of 33? Very good question, and I've answered this already before, but I'll answer it again. Yes, you can apply at the age of 33. And even, if I'm not mistaken, in the Qura or Riyadh, they opened up a new, they put out on their page recently that they've taken off the whole age restriction, and you can apply to them. In terms of Medina, you can apply online. You may get rejected, but I would advise, inshallah, when things do open up, for you to go for Umrah and apply in person. Because if you apply in person and you're above the age, then they consider you. Of course, if you've got a reason, like I said, I always tell the brothers, if you are at a certain age and you're applying, it's more or less it's like think of it as you have to give them a reason. Why should I accept you? Why should I accept you when what took you so long to apply? So give them a reason. Let's say, for example, you're a revert, then that's of course more than enough of a reason. You don't have a lot of Muslim families. Let's say you're a Muslim, but you come from a community in the world where there's not a lot of people that teach, or there's not a lot of resource out there, or people can kind of get yourself to seek knowledge. And this can be an example. If you've got some sort of history or story behind you, if you've got something to kind of, I'm not going to say sell yourself, but more or less look at it as you need to convince them to accept you. If you've reached that age, if you've reached the age limit of 25, you need to then now actually start to convince them to accept you. This is the only thing that you need to do. Why is this the case, Ikhwan? It's just because of the fact that they don't want everyone out there. They don't want to make a university where they've got people there and they don't really want to be there, because of course when you reach a certain age, the whole kind of study, maybe you've been out of study, the whole the study, academic studies, you've been out of it for a good 5, 7, 8 years, and you're going to be put in that system and you're going to last. You're just going to waste someone else's space. All of these things they put into consideration. And so, like I said, yes, many Western students that are above the age of 25, like yourself, have been accepted. I know a brother that was accepted at the age of 50. So that in itself should tell you. Are there any bookshops that sell some books in English? Someone asked that. It depends where you're coming from, but you can find many online. But it depends where you live exactly. Yeah, okay, I think it's a sister. Khaira asked about women applying. Personally, I don't know about Dar al-Hadith in Mecca, but I know about Qura. Qura is probably going to be easier for you because it's going to be an actual university where you're going to be given a ticket to go back and forth and you can apply. However, you have to have a guardian or mahram. So you have to have some sort of mahram, meaning your husband or a brother or a father that can actually go out there with you. And if you're able to go out with them, they have to apply and they're going to accompany you. They have to either be living there or they're going to apply with you to the actual university in Muqara. And there you can actually study in that whole, in that university. And it's very, very beneficial and it's laid out. You've got the Arabic Institute and you've got the faculties out there in Muqara. So that's really beneficial for the sisters that want to apply there. That's my best advice to you, Khaira. But of course, if you've got a mahram that wants to apply to Medina University, like your husband, then he can go and actually apply to the university. If he gets accepted, then inshallah, you can actually study in the institutes within Medina University. And they're recognized institutes that are actually known by the Ministry of Education. So that one is open for foreigners, Khaira. The one in Qura in Mecca. And also the institutes in Medina, of course, if you have a husband that's actually studying in Medina, that's been accepted. Like I said, the person in 1442, how can you provide for yourself out there? If you're a student, of course, you're going to be given you'll be given, let's say, roughly it's going to be £180, British pound every month. As a single student or a married student, you're going to be given £180 a month, and that you're going to you'll be given to live off, and they give you a room, they give you a ticket to your country. So that should be I'm not going to say enough, but it'll make you get by. And of course, you can do other means of saving up money when you work on holidays and you're coming back to the country. And of course, without a doubt, one has to understand, Ikhwan, when you're out there, you have to have a plan. Like I said in the beginning of the video, you have to have a plan as a Muslim person going out there want to seek knowledge. It's not going to be easy. You're not just going to be given roses thrown at you and given accommodation, a hotel, 5-star. No, you have to obviously have a plan when you go out there to know that you have to save up money. You have to work during the the year, save up money in the summer, and then when you go out there, that money should be enough to last you. And obviously, when you're there, you could do things that I've mentioned in the other video, where you can actually work like teaching English and what have you. Whilst you're there privately, so many things you can actually do, but it's just about having a plan, planning things correctly, and at the same time, you have to know that when you're there, inshallah, because of the fact that you've left something off for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal, Allah won't leave you. As Allah mentions in the Quran, وَيَجْعَلُهُ مَخْرَجًا. Allah will provide you a way and a means that you will not know. مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبْ. From a way that you will probably never, ever have been able to imagine that Allah will provide you a way. And so many brothers can tell you this, so many people that have gone out there to study can tell you that this happened to them, that they've done it for the sake of Allah, but once again, being sincere, and being truthful to yourself and doing something that pleases Allah, doing it for the sake of Allah, as they're making dua for Allah. Dua silah al-mu'min. Of course, the weapon is the supplication and dua is a weapon for the believers. So, of course, if one does that, then inshallah Allah will provide a way for him or for her. I think that will be it for today. What day will be able to start making like I said, Ikhwan, Brother Sha'ban, if you have the documents ready, apply straight away. Don't wait for a certain period of time, because now, of course, those that have applied for 2020, meaning this year 2021, and the end of 2020, that's it. It's closed now. So the list should come out sooner or later. It's going to come out. So now you can actually apply now, because once you apply now, you're going to be considered for next year in September, and it's always like that every year. اللهم امين وجزاكم الله خيرا خير الجزاء، وصلى الله عز وجل أن يجعل هذا المجلس يكون خالصا لوجه الكريم. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك، وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه من تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. If anyone has any other questions, inshallah, they can reach me on email address, and I'll try my utmost best to actually reply or respond back to them. If not, inshallah, I'll be doing another video soon. Inshallah, it will be another open discussion. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.